So he had this pictorial somewhere, I forgot where it was, and he did this pictorial, and he said, come on, let's go and ride with me, and let's go to do an interview. I said, okay, fine. So I did that. And as we were in the motorcade, in his car, I'd never been in the president's car until that time. George W. Bush put me in his car. That was amazing. I've been in the motorcade in the press van, but never in the president's car. So during that time, we were talking about the election and the contest between John McCain, his candidate, and the candidate for the other side, Barack Hussein Obama. And we were talking about the issue of racism. And George Bush said, quote unquote, yeah, there's subtle racism, overt racism. He recognized that. And we talked about it, and we left it alone, and we went into the Oval Office, and we did the interview. So, a couple weeks later, the election happened. The best place to be was not Grant Park. It was at the White House, 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue, election night. And I'm going to tell you why. It was the most amazing time of my life. President Bush was known to go to bed at 9 o'clock at night. Lights out. Lights out. No noise, nothing. Lights out. You could leave. You could be leaving at 10 o'clock. The lights are out up in the residence. They were sleeping. So that night, I happened to be at the White House. I was working at the White House instead of going to Grant Park. So all of a sudden, at 11 o'clock, Wolf Blitzer, the next president of the United States, Barack Hussein Obama. I was like, what? Now, I was of the mind, we never had anyone get to this point before. And it's not about his policy or his politics. It's about the fact that this nation had the first African-American president. Something that many of us never thought we would see. I thought there would be a white woman before there would be a black man. And that's just the truth. Barack Hussein Obama was the 44th president. So I'm in shock. My mother died not seeing this moment. My father never thought it would happen. So many people, how many people thought it was going to happen? Be honest. Amen. You thought, okay. Keep hope alive. Thank you. Thank you for your honesty. Thank you. Then I was shocked. I was like, what? And I couldn't believe it. Wolf, Wolf was screaming at you. The 44th president. It's like, what? So I get up, and there's very few of us in the White House. I get up, and I walk down the hallway, of all places, the Fox News. And I see my friend Wendell Goldler, who's a reporter there, in the booth. Wendell is sitting next to the wall, looking at the TV like he was, I don't know, like he was in a trance or something. And I stand at the door like, and he's just like, and we're stunned. Covering politics and seeing all this, them versus us and all that stuff. And it's not about politics. It's not about politics, but I just never thought it would happen. So I walk into the room with Wendell. This is all in the book. I walk into the room, and I stand next to Wendell. And he's still seated. He turns to me. He's an older gentleman. He's now retired. He turns to me without getting up and hugs me around the waist and just starts crying. That was a moment. I still have yet to cry. I'll probably cry after it's all over because it's too much to be in it. But I was like, what? And then there was a spontaneous gathering of kids, young people from Georgetown, young people from Howard, young people from GW. They came, I thought they were in Wisconsin in a football game. They came with no clothes on, screaming, what you did? And I'm like, they know it's cold out here. They were running around down Pennsylvania Avenue in front of 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue in front of the White House to see the World Power with Barack Obama life-size signs, screaming, we did it. And I'm still in disbelief. And then I started hearing these chants, na 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 na, hey, Bush goodbye. The Bushes were still awake, and they heard this. Never seen this in my life. Balloons, red, white, and blue balloons were floating over the fence on the ground. The next morning I came back, went on Fox that night around 4 o'clock in the morning, talking about this historic moment. Went on Fox, and then I came back to the White House about 8 or 9 o'clock. the balloons were still there. Normally they're meticulous about keeping that place clean. The balloons were still there. The aftermath of that spontaneous crowd was left for us to see. The Bushes heard it because they had like a watch party, a silent watch party. They heard it at 11 o'clock at night. So President Bush wanted to make sure that he marked the occasion of Barack Obama's presidency, or being president-elect. So he had a speech in the Rose Garden. He had a speech in the Rose Garden, and before he was coming out, he was mad about something. He had Steve Hadley in the office. He had a bunch of different people in the office. So what he did, he was marching around very angry. I mean, very angry. We could see it because we were waiting for him to come out to mark the occasion. And then he looked at the door, and I was staring right at him, and he did this. He raised the roof. And that's important because I say that to say, I believe in all my heart. He understood the racial dynamic of this president. He understood that this president had issues to deal with beyond politics. Race and politics will always follow this current president because of the unique nature of who he is.